So we are live now. Hi everyone. It's my great pleasure to welcome you here today at CEMS White Nights conference at our alumni session. I hope everyone is going to join us on YouTube broadcast. Let me do a brief introduction. My name is Alexander Bayzarov. I work for CEMS. And today we are going to discuss the things that we have all faced recently. I mean, the pandemics and all the business and management insights we've all gathered through these, I would say, 3 or even more months that we have been suffering from these challenges. So, first of all, I would like to thank you, the organizing committee, for doing this CEMS White Nights conference all online. You guys are great. The CEMS Club of St. Petersburg of GSOM has been doing this conference for years, and you've managed to successfully move it online. So congrats. Thanks for doing this. And thank you for all the speakers for joining us today. In a moment, I'm going to introduce all of them. So as for the topic, I would say that although I mentioned that it has all been connected with challenges and suffering, on the one hand, that's true. On the other hand, we've all seen some, some changes in industries. And I would say the pandemic has made a boost to IT industry. And I would speak for education, where I work personally. Well, we have all had to move very quickly and finally do the projects that have been in our desks for years. At GSOM, we moved all the studies online in less than a week. So I would say that the pandemics, although it's not that good thing, it made some things very lively in some industries, and we are going to discuss it as well today. As for the agenda, I would like to make this session as practical as possible. I hope you, like me, don't like all these bullshit in panel sessions when everyone speaks how this or that is important. So we are going to focus on some hands-on experience the guys that we've invited to the session have had during these pandemic months in their businesses. And I encourage you to ask questions on YouTube. We are going to take them one by one. So help me guide this session towards hands-on insights that you can guys use in your daily life. And as students or graduates can take to your companies or to your personal lives. So 4 topics to cover today, sorry for my set English. First of all, industry and company insights during pandemics. I'm going to run through this topic with all the guys. I would also like to talk today about workplace changes. We have all moved online and to distant working. So we are going to cover this as well. And maybe some topics on personal well-being and health, how we all personally organized our lives and maintained ourselves in good capacity and good shape, both physically and mentally. We are going to talk about it as well. And we're going to cover the topic that is very important for graduates of this year, that is career insights. Probably you've all heard about career freeze in many companies. So how to do, how to look for a job in such times, how do, where to go, what to do, and how to behave at interviews if you want to be hired. And I'm sorry for some noise that can bother you from my side. Some guys in the other flat decided to do some repairments today. So let me jump to our speaker's introduction. We have some CEMS alumni of GSOM, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you all guys here today. And I would like now to ask you to introduce yourself briefly. Please tell a couple of words about what you're doing today, about maybe one sweet memory from your CEMS experience, and maybe one thing that you want to specially share at this session about pandemics, business management, and all the stuff. So let me start with Alexey Kuznetsov, who is the GSOM and CEMS alumni. Alex, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, I'm Alex. I currently work at HubSpot, and I lead a machine learning team there. So that's my current role. And before that, I used to work at Google in anti-abuse team and a little bit in Google Brain, also doing machine learning. One of the sweetest memories from CEMS was my exchange semester in Sydney, hanging out with kangaroos and surfing. That was great, great fun. And I could talk about how HubSpot customers in the difficult times like this. So I think there are quite a few interesting activities and initiatives HubSpot pulled off when the pandemic hit, especially a few months ago. So I think there was great support there. Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, thanks. The next speaker is Sasha Lukavchenko. Sasha, the same questions go for you. Please introduce yourself and maybe a sweet memory from your CEMS experience.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. So my name is Sasha. I finished GSOM together with Alex in the same year. So the same course with exchange semester in the National University of Singapore. So the sweet memory from CEMS, oh my God, there's so many, really hard to pick. But probably my time in CEMS club, St. Petersburg, when I was the president. We truly had an amazing team, and I'm really grateful and humbled to see that the CEMS club of St. Petersburg continues delivering great projects like CEMS White Night. So thank you so much again for this. So currently I'm working at Google for almost 4 years now, and yeah, happy to share any insights about how Google handled the crisis, what challenges we had, what's the situation now. Happy to take any of your questions.
Perfect, thanks. And our next speaker is Daniil Dashkevich. Daniil, please tell us about yourself and maybe some sweet memory as well. Thanks. You need to unmute your mic.
Muted me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm also CEMS graduate from 2014, as well as bachelor degree graduate from GSOM from 2012. I did my exchange terms of CEMS in NUS in Singapore, same as Sasha, but I think 1 or 2 years before. And for the second term, I did in Koç University in Istanbul, in Turkey. Sweet memories, everything was much sweeter than it is now in adult career life, I would say. So you had a lot of time to explore new things, hang out with friends. Now it's more like work and 1 or 2 hobbies, that's it. So what I do now is director of partner programs and display network for Agoda.com. So Agoda is part of Booking Holding. So together with Booking.com, Kayak, Car Rental, OpenTable, some other group companies. Based in Bangkok, in Thailand. So I'm now here. It's a bit later, 5 p.m. What I can tell you, since I work in travel, and it's probably one of the most impacted industries due to COVID. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer of how we are doing now and what the recovery ahead of us might look like. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we have all our speakers connected to IT, and I would say, Daniil, your experience about in travel industry, we are going to cover it separately for sure, because it's very interesting how you all doing today, because not much travel recently, I guess.
I mean, there are many aspects of travel. Still enough to talk about.
Okay, great. So I would say let's try to make it as hands-on as possible. Please, when you share your experience, please think about the guys who are graduating this year or who have recently graduated. So what they can use from your experience, from the experience of your companies and your industries, what they can take like best practices and implement. So please try to focus your stories on these kind of things. And let me start with Alex. Alex, can you just share how it all started at your company? Like one of a sudden, out of the blue, you've all been told that you are now need to work from your home, and what things happened to your company during pandemics, and like 3 to 5 initiatives that you would like to share to us that made the most impact on your business.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. So in fact, for Household, it was pretty smooth because it's one of those IT companies which often support remote work, and like in fact like 10% or something like that of our workforce was already remote before pandemic even hit. So in that sense, company was agile and pretty ready to switch quickly to a fully remote setup. So that's what basically happened. So I think there were news like they're slowly snowballing, coming from Asia first, and then slowly hitting US and Europe, and basically we followed the guidelines of local governments, right? So when Ireland shut down, everyone just went to home, and the same happened in US. And it was pretty quick. It was a couple of days, I think, of rapid adjustment, and people were grabbing their monitors and things from their desks, bringing that from office to home. And it's good if people didn't forget things, because a few weeks after that, it was impossible to visit the office completely. So they went in a full shutdown. But there was like a week or two transition period where it was suggested not to work in the office, or especially if you traveled, you were forced to quarantine. So that slowly progressed. So it wasn't like a sudden change. It was a couple of weeks of adjustment, and so this was from like a workforce standpoint. And of course,
a couple of weeks for some industries, it's quite not that smooth.
Right. Exactly. So like this is the benefit of company who are already for multiple years supporting and embracing remote work, and even allowing people to go for a month or two and work from some other location. So like IT-wise, infrastructure-wise, it was all prepared already. So there was no sudden stress on the system, if I can say it this way. Of course, company emphasized the safety of its employees. It was like number one priority, and also the safety and well-being as well. So their mental health, their physical health, all of that was number one. So it was multiple times emphasized that you don't have to care about performance this much. So take care of your family, of your kids, and so on, and make sure everyone is fine, and then sort of work. So there was no like pressure to deliver during the time. So it was just pretty nice. Some people actually were allowed to even like significantly cut down on their time they spend at work. So I know some people who have families and kids, and they couldn't send those kids to daycare, so they switched to half-day setup. For example, if there's a couple and both of these people work, one person will work first half of the day, another one the second half. So in that way, they could sort of get around without daycare. So that was it basically. So company switched to remote setup, supported its employees, and that's it. There was no sort of financial benefits or like one-time payments. I know some companies like Amazon and Facebook did this kind of things. So they sent out, so like Facebook sent out sort of one-time payments, and then they also sent like portals for remote work. So that was interesting. We basically just switched to remote, and that's it.
Okay. Let me stop here for a moment, and if we took this path, let's go for it. Sasha, tell us about Google. Any payments, any one-time things to help you?
Actually, yes. So Google took good care of us moving to work from home. So first, we were able to expense up to $300 for kind of work from home setup and like to buy a desk, to buy a chair. Then it increased up to 1,000 when it was a little bit more clear that we're going to spend a while in the office. And now Google advised that we will just continue working from home until the end of the year. So it was definitely nice. We have to justify, though, this 1,000 that we were given for the work from home setup to expense for this purpose. For example, in Facebook, the employees were just given 1,000 without any justification. So you could spend for anything, like for food or I don't know, training experience, training equipment, anything that you choose.
So like Russia, you all know about Russian government support to families with children. So they people were also given money to buy some stuff. No justification needed.
Like 10,000 rubles, right?
Yeah. Sash, if we started talking about workplace, so how it all changed at Google? I guess you guys have always been quite remote. Like Google always embraced it, so encouraged. I mean, any changes, or it's been very smooth and like no one worried about it?
So there are two sides of the coin. So first side of the coin is the employee, right? So us Googlers who are full-time employees. For us, it was, and the second side of the coin is vendors who I'm directly working with. So suppliers who are providing services to Google, so external companies. So for Googlers, it was much smoother to go work from home because, also in my role, right, we are not really needed in the office. Like all the work is done anyway via the VC, video conferencing, meetings, and emails and pings in chat. So technically, it was very easy to just grab your laptop and move to work from home. For Googlers who, for example, code, the engineers who need their stations set up in the office, it was a little bit more complicated because they had to surpass some of the privacy policies that were previously not allowing engineers to work from home. So that was possible to do, and now they're happily working from home or prioritize to return to work from office as soon as possible, as long as the situation with COVID improves, which is also monitored on the regular basis, and we're provided updates on a monthly basis about the status of our country. So Google really takes good care about the safety of every employee. And then from the vendor perspective, probably it's not as applicable to you recent graduates yet, but just FYI, it really depends on the external company that we're working with. And Google here and my team relies in between our company and their company to make sure that the transition to work from home is as smooth as possible, adjusting their internal policies, advising on the best practices, basically building this whole logistics infrastructure to transfer people from the office to home.
So I mean, you're taking care of your customers, right? Kind of.
So I'm a program manager, and I'm overseeing the vendor operations for cloud support with G Suite and Google Cloud Platform. So we have the network of vendors who are providing support to to the customers behalf of Google. So the network is 3,000 agents, and they are spread across the world, across all of the regions, and 21 external companies, so 21 supplier. So I'm overseeing these operations, making sure that all the operations are smooth, all the agents are trained, onboarded, certified to work with the current services. Then, and this is my primary responsibility, so training and certification. But also, as we might discover later, like in the pandemic, for example, I was also responsible for setting up this logistics to move agents from home, then introducing new products that Google put forward to keep their competitive advantage in the market, redesigning some of the internal processes that stopped working because of COVID. So there's like a lot of different things that suddenly appear in your scope when you're...
Yeah, let me get back to you on this. I would also like Daniil. Well, how was it with you?
So for me, I'm back to office since 3 weeks now.
How does it feel?
It feels great. It feels like you have more things to do during the day in the office, can chat with more people. It brings creativity back, little discussions next to a coffee machine, or you can walk over to another team on a different floor quite easily and talk in person, right? So it's definitely better. What was before, so for about 3 months we were working from home. So I'm based in Bangkok, right? So our headquarters de facto is here in Bangkok. We have almost 4,000 people here. And pretty quickly, within a week notice, everyone moved home. We didn't have much allowances like Google provided. I think employees could cover expenses for electricity and for Wi-Fi or whatever internet setup I need if I don't have one. And there was a company who can organize relocation of your desks or standing desks or screens if you want, right? In my case, I just had my laptop. I don't need much else. So I was working from home for 3 months exactly, and now we are back in Bangkok, all of us. There is not much change. Maybe if you follow some news in Thailand, we don't have any local cases for past 46 days in terms of COVID, so it's pretty relaxed inside. People are not allowed to get in Thailand. It's pretty hard for travelers, or even for those who have work permit or who have families here. It's very hard to come back if they got caught somewhere outside, but there is no local transmission of COVID. So in the office, everything is back to normal. We have some red tape between seats saying don't sit too close to each other, but we had for the first week some limit in terms of capacity in meeting rooms, which is hard to follow, to be honest, when you need to put the whole team in a meeting room, over 30 people. It's not possible to maintain it. So now I see everyone is relaxed, right? We don't wear masks in the office. I don't know if it's good or bad. It's recommended to do so. So when we use public spaces in the office building or in the shopping mall attached to it, we wear masks. We get temperature checked everywhere, but apart from that, it's business as usual, nothing different. While we were working from home, again, it's a big company, right? So there are multiple departments, IT, commercial departments, marketing departments, developers, program managers, customer service. So everyone moved home pretty quickly. And to be honest, we didn't see any drop in productivity or anything like that. So we did some surveys to understand how people feel, how much time they spend, watching YouTube videos instead of working on a laptops provided by the company, and everything looked pretty standard, same as before. So I think it was quite successful period for us. That is all I can say about work from home, right? There are multiple changes we did in the company overall, but that's, I think, different question coming soon, right, from you.
Yep, sure. Thanks for sharing. I would say that in education, it was not that smooth and like in IT companies. At GSOM, we have these classes. We have our teachers, professors, all different. They are all of different age, and like some young professors were very, how to say, comfortable with taking it to work from home, though it's very difficult, for example, to work with first-year students who would just join GSOM and like for them studying online and don't see their professors and don't see their classmates makes it, very hard to acquire the GSOM DNA, and like they still don't have enough work ethics, I would say. So it was quite difficult for education in general and for GSOM in particular, though we managed, and like GSOM quite successfully finished this year. We moved all the classes online, and we use this Microsoft Teams platform, although we don't have Microsoft on this call, but this platform is great. And we also did all the exams online. And some exams we did with proctoring, when you have this AI monitoring you, that you don't cheat on like financial mathematics. Though we try to change the majority of classes, the exams on them, so that they can be open book. So I would say that this mode of working when you work remotely, for some companies and some like education organizations in particular, made a great impact on mindset. And I now see my colleagues, professors, who talk to me and like share their insights about working remotely. They say, I'm going to change these things. Even if we return back to work, to classes, I'm going to take this online because it works better. And like we have more students coming to research seminar, because when it was offline, very few of them managed to make it. And now we have all the class coming to the session. So I would say that some organizations, I guess, it's been quite insightful to work remotely. Yeah, just a piece of sharing from me. Sorry, maybe I was not supposed to do this as a moderator, but well. I really loved it because it pushed ourselves somewhere to changes, and I really loved it. So let me jump to business things. Maybe you can share some things that are not commercially prohibited. To share how you did your operations. Maybe you launched some new products in response to pandemics. Maybe you launched some new services. Maybe you changed the way you deal with customers. Some things that really, some things that you really notice in your companies during pandemics, and maybe the insights and some innovations that you're going to take from the pandemics period to your regular work. So, who wants to take it first?
Well, I already started speaking a little bit about this, so may just as well continue. So, as I mentioned, I'm a program manager responsible for vendor operations for technical support of Google Cloud. So that's a pretty wide explanation of what I'm doing. So, and my scope is also pretty wide at the moment. So I've been plugged in different work streams when the pandemic hit us. So the first work stream, or rather issue that challenge that we faced, is offices closure around the world. So workers need to be migrated to work from home. Then second, the usage of collaboration tools increased thousandfold. For example, Google Meet and Google Classroom are the two primary collaboration tools that were picked up by universities and by companies alike. And we had to adjust for this, understand how we can improve this. And third, internal processes were failing in Google sometimes when they were either dependent on external companies or on some of the things that had to be closed. Let's put it this way. Some of the teams that need to be migrated, and their scope also did not take the new responsibilities due to the increased workload. So with regards to, so let me maybe go through each of these challenges and provide a little bit of overview of how we dealt with them. And if you have more questions, then feel free to ask. So how we were migrating the vendor workers is a very interesting story, because typically we do not directly manage suppliers and vendors' performance. Due to the co-employment legislation, we're not allowed to do this. But in this time, we had to provide all the infrastructure so that every agent, every support agent, were able to go back to home with their equipment issued initially by Google, provided to them with all the accesses. It was very interesting that before, like for 10-15 years, we in Google introduced very strict policies that prohibited vendor agents from working from home because of the privacy policy, because of some of the access challenges, and we had to overcome all of these 15 years of challenges in 1 week. So we made it possible with some additional workarounds. It was an interesting journey on its own, you know, how to redefine Google in general and their approach to vendor workers. So yeah, we managed to introduce this military operation and migrate the whole 3,000 agents in 1 week, which was a great achievement on our side, but basically 20-hour work per day approximately during this week. But it was over and we kind of breathed out a little bit. Then, as I mentioned, the usage of collaboration tools increased 1,000 times. So we were thinking, how can we improve our products and still remain competitive in the market with some other companies such as Zoom and Microsoft Teams also picking this up and thinking along the same lines. So we actually drastically improved the Google Meet product, and we opened the enterprise-grade version of Google Meet to everyone for free. So we're also providing support to Google Meet, and that's where I come in. So basically, we had to manage this increase of support volumes with regards to Meet, which was expected like 100 times increase in support volume. With the current workforce, it was an interesting journey as well. Something we didn't face before as a challenge, because typically when you have the workload of the vendor agent, they're only supposed to take as many cases as they can, right? Now that we have the same number of people, but then the number of cases increases 100 times, then how do you enable the network so that they can absorb this volume? So managed to do this as well. So it was really, really interesting. There was a great teamwork from both Googlers and vendors in this regard. So yeah, let me know if you would like to learn more about specific steps, how we did this.
How did you manage to do it? Did you pay more to people, or like you moved them to an increased, work hours? How?
Actually, I'm really happy to that you asked this question because the key here is education. So I'm responsible for training and certification, and I managed to retrain the 3,000 people in actually less than a week, so that they're able to take different types of cases, and the network is actually very flexible in terms of where volume comes from, at which time and for which specific product, so that we can quickly redistribute it in this small sections of, let's say, few minutes of opened up utilization within each vendor. So basically, previously, if we were kind of moving the volume and routing the volume to a team, now we were tracking each of the agents' utilization based on the percentages. And then we were filling in this utilization with sometimes a fraction of a percent with the incoming cases and volume. And that's how we managed to reduce the need to pay more and to provide the overtime for agents as well, so that their work-life balance continues to be on a good enough level. Of course, they work more.
Work in a more efficient way, right?
Yes.
Okay. I see. Okay, thanks. Sorry for jumping in.
Yeah, of course. And the third point I wanted to kind of to open the floor about is the internal process redesign. So I already mentioned that we redesigned the kind of privacy policy and access policy within Google. So it was possible to do some workarounds, and the same applies to many other processes that were in Google for years, and they were working. So honestly, when we were thinking about redesigning them, they kind of looked a little bit too bureaucratic, right, for us Googlers. So we were thinking maybe there is some room for improvement and we should definitely do this. But we were always deprioritizing it to like P2. So we sometimes were improving just a little bit, but nobody was responsible for like the whole process revamp. And the pandemic showed us that, yes, this process is actually important. So let's completely redesign this. And this is great in this regard. That's one of the, let's say, positive side of the pandemic, because it made us rethink about how we do our job and accelerate our improvement processes. So that's moving forward, hopefully after the pandemic is over, we get better, more efficient Google.
Wow, perfect. Thanks for sharing. Daniel, what about you? How did travel respond?
So I can give you some examples since you wanted practical answers. So I'll give you some examples what Agoda did as a company overall, and what I did for my department and projects we manage, and then maybe some practical team management tips, what we did, what changed. So first of all, Agoda, right? Since we are a travel company, we are an OTA, online travel agent, right? So we do hotel bookings, we do flights, which was a new product for us, which we launched right before COVID started. We do experiences in some markets, some minor products. We do homes, accommodation, similar to Airbnb, but our major product is hotels, right? Hotel bookings. So what happened is, when all this started, it was isolated in China, right? First of all, where we are not very strong. We are present in China, but we are not a household name where, unlike other Southeast Asian countries. So it was not impacting our business that much. Once it starts spreading to Southeast Asian countries and North Asian countries, where majority of our business is concentrated, it basically escalated pretty quickly. No one could expect, right? So our revenues, instead of growing as per our financial plan, shrinked multiple times in a matter of a month, right? And when we started to think, what can we do, right? And then I think Agoda did pretty well, and Booking.com also did pretty well to focus, maybe to scale down some projects which might not be as relevant during this situation as before. For example, flights, right? We still launched it, it's doing well, but I think the amount of resources and developers and budgets allocated there is now significantly smaller for this period of time. Some other products were stopped as well, some new innovative ideas. We decided to focus on the core business. So how can we maintain us afloat with hotels? How can we focus on what people actually need during this time? It's more flexibility around cancellation policies, for example, right? So we launched Easy Cancel, which allows customers to cancel pretty much any booking affected by COVID. And it's a massive exercise, costs a lot of money for a company of this size, right? If you need to suddenly cancel and reimburse thousands of bookings which were booked before all the travel restriction started. We started to think about what travel will look like after all this will start coming back. And the first thing which will come back is domestic travel, which we already see in Thailand, in Taiwan, even in the United States. The amount of domestic travel is same or more than pre-COVID already in some countries. In some countries, it's still not the case because there are some domestic travel bans in place. But in some of our key markets, such as Taiwan, Thailand, United States, it's okay, right? It's back to normal. However, international travel is virtually zero. Individual travelers are not going anywhere because there are no flights and there are no possibility for them to enter these countries. So we started to think what can we do better with our hotel partners to capture this domestic demand. We start working more with governments to be part of all the programs which we do to incentivize domestic travel. We start launching different marketing campaigns to show all the deals we have, all the best prices we got from partners to facilitate customers to travel domestically. And since hygiene and all the safety measures are pretty important, where are now all the new layers of, I don't know, content adjustments. You can see if hotel is safe, if they have done deep cleaning and stuff like that. So that's what's happening on a very high level with a company. So as I said, since we decided to focus, apart from scaling down some projects and focusing on the core business, we unfortunately had to do a reduction of workforce. So we let go about 25% of people globally. So Agoda is present in 40 different locations in 32 countries, if I'm not mistaken. So we used to have about 6,000 employees, and we had to optimize this during the time to make sure that even with a very conservative recovery scenario, we are having pretty healthy financials to go through it, right? Same goes to branding activities, marketing activities. So we only keep essential marketing in markets where we know that people are still traveling. And domestically, we do performance marketing, but all the major branding campaigns and stuff like that, we scale down. That's on a company level. And for my department, so what we do, it's called partner programs and display network. So we basically sell marketing and growth solutions to hotels. That's partner programs. And display network is we sell ads and banner spaces on Agoda pages and apps to advertisers and agencies. So for partner programs, pre-COVID, what we did is we had a program called AGP, Agoda Guaranteed, Agoda Growth Program. So how it works is we come to hotel, we say, look, we want to grow business together. We are ready to provide you more bookings by basically treating you in a different way in our marketing activity. So we would prioritize your ranking, we would spend more money on performance marketing on your behalf, we would help you with content, and we would basically make you much more visible to all our traffic across multiple channels, Agoda Direct and Meta Search and paid search and everything we do. In return, we would ask for a higher margin, for higher commission for a period of time, and to make it more attractive for partners across the globe, for hotels, we were also estimating how much revenue we can generate for the hotel during this program, and we were prepaying this revenue upfront, right? So as you can imagine, all this had to be stopped because we don't know how fast the recovery will happen and what will happen to these hotels, right? Many of them will go bankrupt eventually. So we quickly pivoted to not doing the payments completely, and we managed to actually maintain the growth rate of portfolio without paid version. So we just sell marketing growth program without prepaying revenue upfront. So we adjusted our sales pitch, we adjusted the marketing value proposition we provide to partners. We managed to grow portfolio size even now without prepaying to partners. What it means operationally for my team, part of team we're doing a risk assessment, due diligence, contracting, making payments, hedging, foreign exchange costs. So all this we are not doing now. However, since there is a few thousand partners with a lot of outstanding balance remaining from these prepayments, which we cannot use now. So how it works is every booking generated under this program would be offset from a balance which we prepaid before. So now there are no bookings, so the balance is sitting there. The longer it sits there, the higher is the risk of losing it, right? So quite a big part of my team had to learn very quickly, and we hired few people and we joined forces with finance department. So what we do is now debt collection. That's an interesting learning for me and some of my team members. Before COVID, we were doing it in some cases, but now the scale of this is growing. We take things under control, but yeah, that's basically one of my top priorities now, to make sure we get this money back, or we collect as much information as possible about what's happening with these partners. Are they open or not? When they plan to reopen their hotel operations? Did they have to lay off people? Do they change the refund, or we try to accelerate the consumption, the production of this hotel on Agoda platform and so on. So that's what's happening with one of the programs we manage. When it comes to other products which my team is selling, for example, sponsor listings or Agoda display networks or banner banners to advertisers and agencies. So first, no one wants to spend marketing budgets during this time, so it's harder to sell it. Second, no one believes that they want to advertise on travel platform because they think it's completely dead, but it's not, right? There is still a lot of traffic, and if some advertisers want to link their services or products to travel experience, it's a good place to be. So it's much harder for us to sell it now. Many partners don't want to spend actual money, so we changed most of our products to be performance based, so we pay for actual performance instead of some fixed fees or prepayments. Yeah, so when it comes to programs we manage, what else? On a team point of view, so we had to freeze hiring. So the team is pretty packed now, so it's important to keep them engaged, keep them together, keep them positive, because it was quite unclear if the recovery will happen this year or next year. It was not very pleasant to know that some of colleagues in our departments had to go during the layoff, which the company did. So it was important to keep the team together. We did virtual, while working from home, we did a lot of virtual events for my team. So I have about 35 people. So we had a master chef every Friday, we have video call like that. So I think 16 nationalities in my team. So everyone was cooking something from their cuisine and teaching others how to do it over video call. It started with some dishes. I think last two were just cocktails. You know, someone was teaching how to do cocktails. We had a workout from home group with my team. So every day we were posting a challenge, like 10-minute workout, and everyone who wants to join, they need to complete it on video. And when whoever wins most of these workouts, we give a prize. And stuff like that, right? So we had all the birthday celebrations remotely. We order cake to be delivered, and then congratulate them via video call to make sure everyone feels engaged. My team was not impacted by reduction of workforce, so everyone is working because we have a lot of things to do. But to keep them motivated, that's what we did. Yeah, there is plenty of things happening in travel, so I can speak in much more detail if you want, but let's move on.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. This cake thing is very nice. Alex, can you share your insights about your company and the interest in general? You told me about the customer care initiatives you've implemented. Maybe you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. So when the whole thing started, our execs, they throw in this epic phrase which says never waste a good crisis. So they saw the whole event as like an opportunity to do better, or like to help a company thrive in the future. So we started, the company was in a good financial shape before, so they said, like, even in the worst case scenario, we have like 2 or 3 years sort of to run through. So there was sort of financial budget to do interesting things, and some of these interesting things were like about supporting our customers. So there's a number of initiatives there. So first of all, there was quite an obvious thing that you can throw in discounts, so price reductions across the board for different parts of product, so products become a lot more accessible. So when other companies which are maybe hit harder by the coronavirus, they can still afford to use our tools, or even switch to our tools because we become suddenly cheaper than the competition. So that was one big move. So things become cheaper. We just basically offer it for free. And yes, the second thing is actually offering things for free. So what used to cost a lot of money, or like medium amount of money, now becomes completely free, so anyone can access that. So there was a huge push to launch major products even in a fully freemium version, maybe with a view to sort of introduce pricing later on, but at this stage it's completely free. So there was price reduction and completely moving things to a free tier as well. So there was that. There's also, we also work with agencies which resell our software to so they basically find clients for us and deal with them. And to these agencies, we pay commission fees. And what HubSpot did, they said, okay, now we will not wait until half a year passes until you generate a certain amount of revenue, and we'll give you commission this way. We'll just do it in advance. So they offer like advance commission, which supports agencies quite a lot. So if they are stressed in the situation, they have some money and some runway to continue working, basically. So that was a huge push as well. So supporting our agency network as well. Then there is a wide network of partners which offer software as a service products, even like Slack or Zoom and things like this. And when such partners offer discounts, we also like highlight them on our website. So a lot of our partners in the network also offer discounts. So basically things become cheaper and cheaper, and anyone can use it. So that's how a lot of SaaS companies responded. And I know these SaaS companies, they also have like a chat basically that they talk to each other. There's almost like a Slack channel where like CEOs hang out, and they like everyone communicates, right? So that's it was like a coordinated initiative to support everyone. So the big topic there was like staying together, and supporting everyone in the difficult times and not caring about profit margins as much. So that helps a lot, and this actually led to a lot of like customer growth, like unprecedented customer growth. There's a lot of new companies joining and using our software, so that worked out pretty well. This was one of the main initiatives. There's also like more like informational type of stuff. So when like we have software which tracks or helps companies with sales and services teams. So if you have, let's say, a sales team and a sales team is closing deals, creating deals, that is all tracked through our software, and we can offer on an aggregated manner. We can offer insights into what happens with deals and like businesses for all like 70,000 of our customers. So this is now public on our website, and you can go and check it out. And that's pretty insightful, because you can see like how split by the region, let's say APAC or like Europe or US, how businesses are doing in fact. So we have like 70,000 different customers, and they're from all sorts of industries. So you can split by the industry, you can split by the region, and you can see how volume of deals like emails was going down rapidly. And now you can see like at the end of June, it was like well back to normal basically. So like there is this informational like insights kind of thing. So which Google was doing as well. Like they were offering this, like if you go to Google now and search for COVID numbers in any country, you see nice charts and all sorts of like help information, all the resources. That's what IT companies did, and HubSpot is doing a little bit by providing like insights into what's going on with the businesses. But news are good right now. I think the major dip is sort of over. Like it's all bounced back right now.
Okay, cool. Before we jump to the questions from our YouTube streaming, I would like to ask one more. If tomorrow the pandemic is over and all this nightmare is over, you can back to your work, to your offices, and do your business as normal, as ordinary. What practices and things that you've learned and developed during pandemics you would take with you to back to normal life? Any ideas?
Some people won't actually come back. So we had surveys internally sending out to employees like what do you like remote work? What you gonna stay? Like rating from 0 to 10, and almost 20% of people said they don't want to go back anymore. And I know people like from my team even, which is like, okay, I like the way things are now. So a good proportion of people will probably stay this way. So it's not gonna be the same, maybe ever. So
yeah, that's about
like remote.
Maybe something about your business as well.
Yeah, definitely not everyone will come back to office to work as usual. So in Google, we're still evaluating if there is significant negative productivity impact on the workforce who is working from home, and what should be actually beneficial to recommend either to work from home or to work still in the office. But while this conversation is happening, what we definitely learned is we can work from anywhere, from any country of the world, and I think we would be able to be more mobile within in the world, basically to work from either office or home, whichever every single one of us prefers. So hopefully it's also good news for graduates that they also would see a little bit more flexibility in this regard. But more news, actual news coming soon. Then the second thing I would take away from there is the notion that everything is truly possible, and if we would like to change something or implement something, it's no longer about the bureaucracy and the red tape that was kind of
just need a good push
still
from somewhere.
Yes, exactly. So if there is a reason for changing something, it should be changed right away without waiting for the second wave of pandemic. You know.
Okay.
From my side, as I said, we are back to office in majority of locations where Agoda is present. There are still some offices working from home, but I think part of our culture is human interaction and creativity and stuff like that. So direction would be to come back to office whenever possible for everyone, right? I understand that there are some people who prefer working from home, some people prefer working from office, but as a part of company culture, I think we want to work from office, from our office spaces, and have some collaboration there. I also support that. I feel more productive from office, but I think even Agoda as employer, even if it's part of our culture, will be more flexible. So if someone needs to work from home for some reason, it will be much easier to organize than before. We already know it works pretty well. If there is something else happening like that, it would be easy to come back and work from home. Everyone knows how to do it. So there will be more flexibility. What I will take from the whole experience and use it in my work and my life moving forward, even if pandemic is completely over. So when it comes to the nature of work we do a lot of training for sales people on the ground in multiple countries, and we do major sales meetings ourselves, so me and my team members. So we were traveling quite a lot. I was maybe out on trips 2-3 months every half year completely, and then some of my team members were traveling 90% of that time. Now we don't do it for obvious reason, but we found a way not to stop this type of activity. So now all the meetings are done remotely, sales meetings, all the webinars. We use webinars to do launch events of new products where we invite hotels from all over the world to join. Before we were doing it in physical locations, traveling with a roadshow, attending some conferences, maybe meeting like 30 partners at a time. Now we have 3,000 partners joining at a time from all the countries in one go. So it's pretty, it's working actually in a better fashion. Conversion rates from these sales activities are also pretty stable, I would say. So there is no impact. So that's what we will continue doing, right? So when business travel is back, I would question if I really need to go to Berlin to attend a travel fair or not. I would go to meet my friends and then do something, but I can join online for a conference like that. Maybe the only one I would actually like to travel is this one. Once it's back, CEMS White Nights, would like to see how Graduate School of Management looks like now. I haven't been there since I think 2015 or 16. So yeah.
The campus in Mikhailovskaya Dacha is growing.
I haven't been there.
Oh,
never.
I
saw the construction for all the years I was there, but haven't seen it open.
Yeah, I mean it's opened and the guys are having their classes there, but the dorms are still being built, and we hope like next year we'll have 600 students of bachelor programs moving in. So you need to come to the opening ceremony. Yeah, let me take some questions from the YouTube broadcasting. Like at all sessions, probably when you have people working from abroad, people ask speakers, why did you decide to go and work abroad? What was the most important factor for this decision, the obstacle, and whether the isolation and the country and the government policies during the pandemics changed your attitude towards country. So, who wants to share their experience of immigrant?
I can start, man.
Okay.
So why I work abroad? I don't know, it just happened this way. So after being in Singapore and then Turkey for CEMS, and then coming back to do a diploma, everyone is pretty much applying everywhere just to try their chances. So everyone goes towards consulting. Consulting takes quite a long time to process things. A lot of rounds of interviews. Sometimes there is a break between interviews. I was doing all of that, and then I think I had a chance to join Rocket Internet with Foodpanda as one of their companies. And when you join Rocket Internet, it's just next day, in few days, you fly in somewhere, and then you are in some country doing something without any work permits and stuff like that. So that was fun, right? I thought I will do it as an internship. I will try. So I landed in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, to do operations for Foodpanda locally there. We had 6 people there back then. Now Foodpanda is part of Delivery Hero, $20 billion valuation company. So it was fun, right? So I was doing everything, hiring drivers, whatever, installing boxes on their motorbikes, signing restaurants, installing some devices to automate it, drawing polygons, how to optimize delivery areas, stuff like that. So mix of operations, business development in a really hands-on fashion. And I liked it. So there was a question, do I want to go back and continue this consulting career or stuff like that? And my answer was no, right? Because income-wise and learning-wise, it was, I would say, similar. Culture-wise and freedom-wise, it was much better. So I moved after Kuala Lumpur. I moved to Berlin. This was Foodpanda's headquarters. So I worked in headquarters in various roles. And one of my last roles was regional head for delivery operations. So I was responsible for product and operations. So we were building a logistic system with driver app and all the algorithms behind it to optimize delivery. And I was also traveling about 70% of my time, mostly in Southeast Asia, implementing these new processes and rolling out the new system which we developed, right? So I was doing it for a few years. When I stopped in Hong Kong for about 8 months with them as well, with Foodpanda. And when I moved to Thailand to head Foodpanda operations and customer service and business intelligence here. And then after a few years, so I think it was almost 4 years combined in different geographies and different roles in Foodpanda, I decided to try something new, a new industry, to learn something new again. So I joined Agoda here in Bangkok, right? I was already in Thailand, in Bangkok. And Agoda is the biggest tech company here in Thailand. It's headquartered in Thailand. It's part of Booking Holdings, which is an American company. So it's quite interesting, different culture, different industry. So I decided to change to learn something new. And I'm still here. It's going pretty well. I like the fact that I can travel around. I used to travel around. Now I cannot due to COVID, but it's interesting. If you ask me, do I want to come back to Russia? I would say yes, but the longer you stay abroad, the more integrated you are, the harder it would be to actually come back. And now if you would have this conference in Russian, I would feel so embarrassed because I'm pretty sure I cannot talk about all these topics in Russian anymore. And that's a shame. But yeah, if the time is right and I feel like I want to change something again, and I want to have a new job. Most likely Moscow or St. Petersburg would be in my top list to explore for next move. And policies during COVID, nothing changed. Pretty much everything is okay, is the same. Government is pretty relaxed here to extend the stay and all the paperwork for foreigners who are inside. If you happen to be outside, it's tough, but it's pretty much everywhere like this now, not only Thailand or other markets.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, my experience is pretty similar to Daniel's one. So I was always looking at rather an opportunity than location. So I was researching different companies, speaking with different people, and was trying to find what really works best for me. I was trying to go into consulting, was going through these interviews, and as Daniel mentioned, the process takes quite a lot of time. So in the meanwhile, I found very nice internship offers in startups abroad. So that's what I decided to pursue. And indeed, after the exchange in Singapore, it was easy for me to make this decision because I saw how fast the IT startup scene is growing, and was really into the venture capital and would really love to continue working in startups. So that's what I did. And before graduation, so I did my CEMS internship in Germany, in Darmstadt, in kind of startup, well, mid-sized company already, that's developing the big data solutions for smart city, smart home industries, so also including Singapore. Then that was very interesting. Then after graduation, I moved to Berlin to a startup which was founded by Rocket Internet's actually alumni and ex-consultants as well. So worked several months there, and somehow Google found me. So, and I decided that this would be an interesting opportunity to pursue. With Google, I moved to Poland. That was also not the country that I was looking at, right? I was, again, moving for an opportunity. Started as an intern in Google, and then converted to a full-time employee there as well, in the same team in the city called Wrocław. After 1.5 years, there was an opportunity to do a half-year rotation in Portugal to set up the new vendor. And that's what I also pursued together with Google. And that was kind of the bridge of my work that led me ultimately to Dublin in vendor manager role here. So that was an interesting path. So speaking of returning to Russia, and if I would consider this, the answer is yes, definitely. And I'm really excited to see how both Moscow and St. Petersburg develop from the business perspective. The question is the timing, because now I'm not planning to do so, and I see a lot of opportunities to continue growing in my company and abroad as well. So a lot of different areas I'm interested in are growing like crazy. I'm a little bit sad seeing some of the developments and the legislation that is introduced in Russia. So I would be be very curious to see how this unfolds in the coming years. And yeah, hopefully within maybe 7-10 years, I would look back and reconsider my move back to St. Petersburg and Moscow. So from the pandemic perspective, also, as I mentioned before, hopefully it will be easier to, which are, sorry, can you hear me now? Something happened. Hopefully it will be easier to start working in companies abroad, but being located in the country where you are before you are allowed to travel. Like companies, including Google, are issuing this temporary contracts for you before you are actually able to relocate. So pandemic shouldn't be the main blocker for you in this regard if you do get an offer. So that's good news, definitely. And yeah, hopefully in a few months we will all be able to travel more freely, so even that will not be necessary anymore.
Okay. Okay. Alex?
Yeah, for me, the big reason to move was that I found myself through the exchange semesters at GSOM and the previous university. I found myself attracted to the multicultural environments. Just this feeling of a blend of nationalities is pretty exciting. So that was one big thing, and also I wanted to move. Like I picked Ireland as well because it's like an IT hub within Europe. There's a lot of IT companies present, so I wanted to sort of immerse myself into such environment. So that was a big decisive factor. And also, like, Google is pretty much CEMS-like in its culture and spirit. So when you start working there, it seems like you just continue in your exchange semester, and now it's just with salary involved. So that was pretty cool. I think the big obstacle, like practically speaking, was finding an option. Like when you immigrate, you need to find a company which would sponsor your visa. So that is a big obstacle. Like for me, like immigrating from Russia, so that's the big thing. So choices are limited. I think now it's especially hard. But I think, like practically speaking, like companies like HubSpot, they said they're continuing hiring, but like in a situation like this, they said we pause visa sponsored applications, and this is like completely on pause. They want to revisit this, but that's something which is a little bit difficult. So, but like number of IT companies increases, and I think that like within a few months they'll figure out this process for start issuing visas and so on. So that was a big difficulty, I think. But that's not to say it's impossible. It's not everything's solvable. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Guys, if you have any other questions, please, I encourage you to post them online. We will take all of them so that we can make sure that you've heard everything you wanted to hear and you've taken all the insights that can be useful for your career and for your everyday life. The next question from our chat is about the career perspectives and the career freeze and all the stuff our graduates are facing this year. So if you were a career graduate of 2020 at GSOM, now during pandemics, what would you do?
I would look at industries and companies which are growing during this period of time. To give you an example, right, the company which I started with in 2014, Foodpanda, right, it's exploding, and the whole delivery thing is exploding in all the geographies. So you can have a look at Delivery Hero, which is based in Berlin and has presence in multiple markets. Foodpanda is part of that, and it's a nice place to work for, and it's a super fast growing company. You can have a look at similar ones, takeaway.com. You can have a look at Uber Eats and stuff like that, right? So these guys are hiring for sure in multiple geographies, and they're also present in Russia, all of them, right? So not Delivery Hero, but Delivery Club used to be part of Foodpanda, so now part of Mail.ru. So you can chat with Mail.ru, you can chat with Yandex Food. I'm pretty sure they are hiring. Some other industries, right? Financial services, insurance companies, all of that is growing pretty fast right now. So there is plenty of companies which are hiring, and since most of them are working remotely as well, if they have to, they will be open to start with new graduates working remotely as well. If you are completely stuck and no one is hiring, then try maybe to write a nice intro of yourself and what value you can bring to this company. Maybe agree on some project work which you can do as an independent consultant remotely, and then if it's successful, you can negotiate a contract with them to start working for this company. Some smaller startups would be happy to accept your help. Some bigger companies, I don't know what the policy is, but that's how you can find your way in. And you have a lot of graduates from from GSOM, working in multiple geographies in different companies. You can always ask if we are hiring someone or what's the advice. You have a lot of friends from different schools which you met during your CEMS years. You can ask how is it going for them, what's their career department in their home schools doing, what's your career department in GSOM doing. I'm pretty sure you are in a much better position when graduates of some other universities, because you already universal and you can work for pretty much any company you want, and you are international, so you can have opportunities in multiple geographies, not only in Russia or other markets. I don't know how many people and from where we have on this call.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other ideas? Alex, Sasha, what would you do?
Yeah, definitely can echo what Daniil is saying. So see where the market is growing and what industries are exploding right now and target them. Another angle to look at is try to apply to larger companies such as Google or such as HubSpot rather than startups right now. So also prioritize together with the industry the capital that this company is already aggregated, so that they are able to sponsor you. They have already a good enough position in the market. If the company is not listed, it's very hard to check their financials, and during pandemic they may be overly optimistic, but then we never know how much it's what's going to happen afterwards, and what's the real financial position that they have, if they have any kind of buffer to support you. Then my maybe main advice is to really, like, it's hard, right? But try to understand what indeed you would like to do. So not go to apply to some job because it sounds nice or because everybody's doing this, but rather figure out what's valuable for you. And especially in time of pandemic, right? There's a global crisis. There's a lot of well-being issues currently present across all of the industries across the whole world. Like, nobody exempt from this. And what I realized, it's especially important to spend this time that we have right now in the moment in the way that we really enjoy, right? And that we would remember as the positive experience rather than this hurdles of just going through something we hate to do, right? So first, try to understand what you like, and then try to connect the dots between the current situation on the market and make a decision.
Yeah, I agree. And this advice about the growth, I totally support that. And I think it's applicable, outside of pandemic as well. You should probably always search for companies which are expanding, which are growing, especially which are younger companies. That's going to be exciting and fun ride, such as Daniil had. So that always try to do this. That's going to be a lot more fun. A bit more practical things. I can only speak for IT companies. I don't know what's happening in other industries, but if you want to find something, you can find opportunities within Russia for sure. There's companies hiring. I know people who just got jobs and internships, and it all works out. If you want a more abroad scenario, like, you might need to wait maybe a few weeks or maybe a month or something like that. Just follow the situation, because I think the global guidance was that all the companies put it on freeze, but they really want to continue hiring, and they are just establishing guidelines and processes, and it just they are constrained by embassies around the world which are blocking visas at the moment. But this might ease out a little bit and might become better within a few weeks and months. So just follow this situation. You can also contact or use services such as verb.etc.com or Our Talent, which are made by our friends as well. So Verb.etc. is from Alina, who just also finished CEMS and also graduated of GSOM, and that's basically her job is to find you a company. So no ads here, but that's something practical as well, because they are in touch with all sorts of IT companies, and they might find you and sort you out. So these are the two useful things you might consult.
Yep, thanks a lot. About Alina's project, it's very nice, so yeah, check it out. Yeah, it can be helpful a lot. We are taking the last question from the YouTube. That's about surprisingly new friends. Did you find new friends abroad? What about your connection to your friends in Russia? And like maybe, yeah, that would be your friends, maybe your colleagues as well, if you worked in Russia before moving abroad. And how much time did it take you to feel at home when you moved abroad, and all these, immigration issues and settling down? How was it for you? Sasha, I see you want to answer, and Daniel as well. Yeah.
I feel like we all want to answer, have something to say. So yeah, over the past few years, as I was traveling, I realized that it's very important to connect with the society in the country that you're present in, so really understand what the country is about, understand if it's for you, if it's not for you, how you feel. But before you really connect, you cannot make this decision. You would be feeling on the outskirts of the society, which is never nice, even if you're in the best country, right? So you really have to integrate. And I was doing my best to get friends from local world, right? With Google, it was, or basically when you're working at the company, it's a little bit easier because you start with making friendships with your colleagues, right? So there's like the first circle of friends, but then it's very important to go outside of this kind of company bubble and try to explore other society groups. So people have different approaches to that. I would definitely recommend just going out there, exploring your hobbies and trying to make friends with your hobbies. So just as you would do in St. Petersburg or in your hometown, right? Then speaking of my friends from Russia, we are keeping in touch with some of the oldest friends from like high school, from university, including GSOM, which is great with some of the people who work together still. So we definitely keep these connections. These are, I believe, for life, truly. However, with many friends, we lost touch. Just because it's sometimes very hard to type, because we're not as motivated to call each other. So basically you start realizing that with some of the people you're not as close, and maybe this friend is not your best friend for life. And when you immigrate, these people are really filtering out from the general circle of friends, which is a good thing, and it's interesting, right? Maybe a little bit tough, but these are kind of different pros and cons of immigration that you always have to take into account. With some people, you will just lose touch, but get many more friends.
Yep. Any other stories to share?
I would agree with Sasha. It's not that difficult to find friends anywhere. The more interesting question for me was the second part, so how long it takes for you to feel home abroad, right? So in my case, for first basically 3-4 years, I didn't feel home anywhere. Why? Because I was traveling for work a lot. And then how it works, I was, let's say, based in Berlin, but I spent maybe in two years, I spent maybe 2 months combined in Berlin, and all the time I was on the road in different cities in Asia, and sometimes back to Russia for work. So how it works is, in all these cities you make friends, you have colleagues as friends, you meet someone. When you are back and on a business trip, you meet them, they take you out, everything is perfect, everything is fine. So my life was consisting of this short visit. So it sounds cool, but when I go back, they go back to their normal life, because that's home for them, and for me it's not, right? So that was a bit challenging at some time. So you want to settle. So I settled in Bangkok. For now, it's already 4 years I'm here, which is good. So now it starts to feel more like your home base. I wouldn't say home, but home base, right? You have your friends, you have your hobbies, you have your routine, you have your whatever, motorcycles, cars, stuff like that. So yes, it feels home. It would be more difficult to move somewhere else as long as you stay somewhere for a long period of time as a home base and you don't travel 70% of your time around, right? But yeah, friends, I have a lot of friends from my previous workplace. I have a lot of friends from current workplace. I met many people here in Thailand on different startup events and conferences. I met many people in, I don't know, CrossFit gyms or triathlon prep. So I do some of that stuff. Yeah, so it's not that hard. It's easy, like same as you would meet new people in Russia by doing new things, same you can do everywhere in the world. If you find it difficult to find friends because you are abroad, I don't know, just go out there, go to a restaurant, start talking to someone. That's how you make friends.
Don't forget to keep social distance.
It's fine.
Yes. Yeah.
Depends where you are. In Thailand, there is no such thing now, I think.
Okay. Yeah, Alex, any stories from your side?
Yeah, I think it's usually when you move abroad, you naturally find friends. To me, it happened through work a lot because, as I mentioned, Google was like CEMS community, so a lot of like people like to hang out and have fun together. Also, naturally, you might find yourself through parties and friends of friends. So sort of you get immersed into expat community abroad. So that's another like source of people to hang out with, which people usually use. So yeah, that's sort of naturally usually happens. For feeling at home, that's an interesting question. I think the more like I moved around quite a bit and I lived in different countries for quite a period of time. So at some point you start treating like the whole planet as your home, and that's sort of easier. So like a home base is Daniel mentioned. I like this phrase. So like home base, like it takes a few months to set up and figure out the local legislation and like docs and stuff, but it doesn't take long. But like still, Russia would be the home, the main home. Like that's where like my family is, and that's where I grew up. So I cannot like say some other country is my home. The real home is in Russia. The home base is where I live. So that's how it is for me.
Guys, thanks a lot for coming today to this conversation and this alumni session. Our time is pretty up. If you want to share anything, like your last message to the guys who are listening to us now, and like any advice, please do. Yeah, just if you have anything to say.
I have a question to you, Alexander. Yeah. So how many people do we have listening to it?
That's 17 watching now.
70 or 17?
17, now 18, I see. Yeah, it's growing.
not that much.
I would think that it's going to be published online on GSOM YouTube account, so more people are going to watch it later. But don't worry.
Right. Are we getting CEMS credits for that or not?
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not the organizer. Okay, so to those 17 people who are listening to us, I think you can find us on LinkedIn or Facebook or email, I think was provided. So if you have any questions on companies we work in or career path or any other things, please feel free to reach out. That's what I would add. Yeah, guys, once again, thanks a lot. And I would end this session with the phrase I really liked. Never waste a good crisis, either in terms of your business or in terms of your career. Look for new opportunities. Good crisis is not about crisis. It's always about opportunities. Thanks a lot and have a great weekend. Thank you. Bye-bye.